A young man named Denji wakes up in his rather miserable life as he heads out for work while constantly wondering about how he is going to pay all that debt to the Yakuza boss his father left him with. Denji is a simple guy with naive dreams who had been working as a devil hunter with the help of his devil pet, Pochita. While wondering how long it would take to pay all this debt off, Denji reaches the site where he kills the devil using Pochita's chainsaw. After the devil is dead, the Yakuza boss visits the site to pay Denji up, but instead of the 400k Denji deserved, the old head barely gave him around 70k after all his deductions and so-called management fees. The 70k was barely enough to somehow pay his water and electricity bill, and having only 1,600 yen left for food, Denji even does some sad stuff like eating a lit cigarette for only 100 yen. Back at his so-called home, Denji wondered whether he would ever be able to fulfill his simple dream of having a normal life and getting with a girl, as he remembered some of his dark past. A flashback reveals how Denji's father left him to pay so much debt after he hung himself, and how Denji came across an injured Pochita by chance forming a deal with the little devil. Pochita was the reason Denji chose to work as a devil hunter for the Yakuza boss, and was able to keep going even though he was alone. Back in the present, the guy is unable to sleep at all due to not having food to eat, and on the following night, he is called by the Yakuza boss for yet another devil hunt. Denji's debt was coming to an end, and he went to an abandoned factory with the boss where it turned out that the man had sold Denji to a zombie devil. Denji is stabbed from the back, and all of the Yakuza mobs are revealed to be turned into devils, since the boss had made a contract in exchange for some powers. The old man unites with the zombie devil while poor Denji ends up getting caught by the zombies, who brutally take his life away from him. Denji's body is thrown in a dumpster, where his blood enters Pochita's mouth, and for the sake of seeing Denji achieve his dream, Pochita replaces his heart and hence grants him another life. Denji's body heals completely again, and he heads straight to the zombies to take revenge for Pochita. The guy pulls a string in his chest and transforms into a sort of a human-devil hybrid with chainsaws coming out of his body. With this new power, Denji jumps right into the action, and after cutting the zombie devil down in two, takes his time and kills all of the leftover zombies. The next morning, Makima from the public safety department visits the factory, and seeing Denji's capabilities, she gives him a hug at his request. Denji is almost in complete disbelief, as he is being loved for the very first time, and he turns back into his normal self before requesting breakfast from Makima. After getting things done at the factory, Makima puts Denji in the car with her and decides to take him back to Tokyo. On their way, Makima makes it clear that she thinks of Denji as her dog, but the guy doesn't necessarily mind, as someone was being nice for him for the very first time in his whole life. Seeing Denji starve, Makima takes him to the rest area to get some food, and after they reach the restaurant, Denji passes out from losing blood while he transformed earlier. Passing out is a win in the end for Denji, as he wakes up in Makima's lap, and later even gets fed by her. The pair manages to reach Tokyo a while later, and as they are walking to the Devil Hunter headquarters, Denji is completely convinced that he has fallen for Makima. At the headquarters, Makima gives Denji his Devil Hunter uniform and introduces him to his co-worker named Aki Hayakawa. Denji wanted to work as Makima's teammate, but he eventually agrees to go with Aki after Makima tells him to do so. Outside, Denji keeps questioning about Makima, and his behavior pisses Aki off to the point where he takes Denji to an alley just to beat him up. Aki tells Denji to stay away from this world if he values his life, but since someone was being nice to Denji for the very first time in his life, he declines and delivers a few low blows to poor Aki. Back at Makima's office, Denji is told that he must continue to work as a devil hunter since otherwise he will be taken out as a threat. Denji spends the following night at Aki's so he can be supervised and is actually quite happy, living a decently good way and eating clean food. After Denji eats his breakfast, Aki takes him out on their first job, where they head over to a house to take a fiend down. Aki wishes to see Denji's powers, but Denji instead uses an axe to chop the fiend's head off, and such violence makes Aki get mad. Denji realizes that he is only missing a woman in his life now, before he heads back to Makima, where she introduces his new partner, Power, to him. Power was a fiend as well, and Denji was unsure whether he wanted to work with her or not, until he decided to accept her due to her visible rationality. Yes, rationality. Denji heads out with Power for their first patrol, and while he's thinking Aki planned all this against him to get him fired, Power's hunger for some blood lures her away, where she brutally smashes a sea cucumber devil with her hammer, leaving Denji worried about what he has to deal with. The devil's execution site is approached by the police, and Makima holds the pair accountable for causing such trouble out in the public. Even though the two were constantly fighting at first, Power shuts up pretty quickly when Makima tells her to do so. Makima also orders the two to behave and work like a team, and make sure to not cause such a ruckus again. Later on, Power and Denji are getting drinks from the vending machine when they relax and open up to each other a little. Power reveals how she got involved with Makima due to her pet cat Miyawi, who is now in the hands of a bad devil. After seeing Denji act empathetic due to Pochita, Power requests Denji to help her save her cat, and in return, he can touch her. Denji's excitement goes through the roof, while Makima is seen to be visiting some higher-ups where she reports about Power and Denji. After the meeting concludes, Makima is heading back with Aki driving her when he straight up asks her why she has such high hopes for a brat like Denji. Makima explains that she finds Denji's ability to transform into a chainsaw devil pretty interesting since its power can be something legendary, but Aki still feels like Denji is just too immature to be involved in such a great cause. Back to Denji. Power makes Denji sign some papers and get permission so they can take the train and head over to their destined location. While the two are on the train, Denji wonders whether he would ever really get along with Power or not, and after the train ride concludes, Power takes Denji to an area away from the city where she ditches and knocks him out. Power drags Denji inside the little shelter, where it turns out that she actually brought Denji here as bait for the Bat Devil so she can bail her cat out. The devil tries to eat Denji, but ends up changing its mind as Denji's blood tastes a bit too awful. Disgusted by the taste of the majority of humans around, the Bat Devil does not keep its word and instead consumes Miyawi, followed by Power. Seeing the sad look on Power's face before she was consumed makes Denji realize that she had a deep relationship with the cat, and the guy jumps straight in to attack the devil. Even though Denji did not want to transform at first, he ends up doing so as he cuts one of the bat's wings to bring him back to the ground. The gruesome fight continues in public afterwards, and even though it did cause a lot of destruction, Denji manages to defeat the Bat Devil by cutting it up with his sheer power. Afterwards, a dream takes us a little back in time as we see how Power was wandering around in the wild, surviving on the blood and meat of wild animals until she met Miyawi, and later came towards the city while still having love for blood. Power opens her eyes inside the Bat Devil, and in the next moment, she is left stunned when Denji pulls her out of the body. Power is lost with words, and Denji is extremely happy for his dream coming close to reality when he gets his arm cut off, as now a leech devil came to attack them. The devil eats Denji's arm, and Denji now is unable to transform into the chainsaw devil completely due to the lack of blood. For the sake of his dream, however, Denji still attacks the devil with a single arm and deals a respectable amount of damage before he is stabbed by the devil's tongue. Denji is about to be eaten by the leech when Aki pulls up just in time and destroys the leech with his fox devil. Some more members of Devil Hunters arrive, and Aki proceeds to take Denji to the hospital. Denji wakes up a while later in the hospital, and Aki explains how he fixed Denji's arm with the help of a blood transfusion. Aki was angry at Denji for how he picked a fight after sneaking out, but he lets Denji go on a single condition, that Denji will listen to what he says from now on. Aki's decision was backed by many people who were saved by Denji's fight earlier, and later on he even lets Power go. On the same night, Aki heads over to the main sector where he reports back to Makima. Apparently, according to the rules, if a devil crosses a certain area on its own without supervision, it is supposed to be executed, but seeing even Aki favor Denji, Makima lets it slide. The next morning, Aki wakes up in his apartment and is preparing lunch for himself and Denji, when a new roommate arrives in the form of Power and her cat. Makima calls Aki to explain how she wants Aki to supervise the two, as she trusts him, but things got pretty difficult for Aki as Power brought a bit too much chaos along with her. Despite all the chaos, the night proves to be quite lucky for Denji, as he finally scores a chance to live his dream when Power agrees to keep her end of the deal. Denji was absolutely stoked when Power said that he could touch her 3 times, But even after getting to touch her, Denji still feels empty inside. Denji is in a deep shock after all his life starts to seem like a lie to him, and this empty feeling continues for him throughout breakfast and even after he heads over to the headquarters with Power. At the headquarters, Denji was with Makima, who was making him sign some more paperwork, but the look on Denji's face was impossible to miss for Makima. She asks Denji what's wrong, and the guy gladly explains how he was played through all of his life. Makima tells him that he felt empty since he felt nothing towards Power, and she then further proceeds to tease him a little. Makima holds Denji's hands and goes as far as biting his finger. Seeing Makima this close was too much for Denji's brain to comprehend, and he almost froze for a moment. While Denji had nothing to say, Makima uses this opportunity and remarks how she would fulfill any of Denji's wishes if he manages to fulfill the next task, which is killing the Gun Devil. Makima stresses how this is not an easy task, as the Gun Devil had been around for more than 13 years, and ever since it first appeared in the US after a serious tragedy, studies say that this devil is responsible for the deaths of more than 1 million people. While Makima was explaining the details, we also got to know how the same devil was the reason Aki's whole family died as well. Furthermore, as the real task was to find the devil first, Makima explains that they will be using some bullets made of special metal to track the devil, and somewhere else, we see how Aki is also out hunting with Himeno-senpai, wondering about when he will face the Gun Devil and get revenge. Since Denji was sure in front of Makima that he will slay the Gun Devil, later on, Makima sends a team of 6 people from the Public Safety Extermination Division 4 to handle the devil inside a certain hotel where they might find the Gun Devil as well. Aki was the team captain, and along with Denji and Power, their team also had 2 rookies named Arai and Kobeni. Aki's partner Himeno was also on the mission, and while Aki was arguing with the newbies telling them to follow orders, Himeno puts an offer on the table to motivate the group. Himeno remarks that anyone who kills the devil first gets a kiss on the cheek, but seeing Denji not care and aspire for more, she improves the offer exclusively for him, making him a bit too excited. In their investigation, we get to know how Aki met Himeno in the graveyard of former officers and her dead partners, where they made a deal that Aki would not die on her. Back at the hotel, as the group was on the 7th floor when a little devil head pops out of one of the rooms. The devil scares the timid Kobeni to death before Himeno grabs her with her ability and Power slays it. Himeno explains how she has contacted with a ghost devil that lets her use an invisible hand. She further demonstrates a little how strong her ability really is when Power misbehaves. Anyways, after all this chit-chat, the crew was moving forward on the 8th floor and everything was seeming to be normal until something out of the ordinary happened, and the group realizes that they are in some real trouble as they cannot leave the 8th floor for some reason. The group tries to look for a way to escape, but after seeing Himeno run around in circles, they understand that the devil's power is at work. Everyone splits up and starts looking for ways to escape, but all of them just find absolutely nothing in the end. Denji's initial guess was the death of that earlier devil, but that was not the case since the devil's powers die along with its existence. After brainstorming for a while, Aki realizes that the time on this floor is frozen, so they must be trapped. Both Kobeni and Arai start panicking, while Denji decides to take a nice little nap since it would be such a shame to let a 5-star bed go to waste. A little while later, Denji is woken up by Himeno, who explains how both Kobeni and Arai are in the next room, completely depressed, while Aki is out looking for a clue of some sort. The two meet up with Power, and they are rather confused with her new goal to win a Nobel Prize. Himeno takes both Denji and Power to help keep an eye on the depressed ones, and as she was smoking her last cigarettes, upon Denji's noticing, Himeno reveals how she was the one who got Aki into smoking. A memory of the past reveals how Himeno got interested in Aki after he told her not to blame herself for the death of her previous partners. That was the day when Himeno got extremely worried for Aki's life, and she got him to smoke cigarettes as well. Quite the contradiction, huh? Moving on, Aki returns back to the rest of the crew and reveals the bad news of how the devil from earlier was the Eternity Devil, and it just keeps expanding. The group confronts the devil and it offers a contract to let it eat Denji in exchange for sparing the rest of their lives. Upon hearing this, Arai and Kobeni were fixated on Denji dying for their sake, but Aki and Himeno didn't let them do it. The devil kept expanding, and Aki offered to use his sword, but Himeno strictly stopped him as it would take a few years of his life. The devil expansion speeds up, and when they are completely pushed into a corner, Kobuni attempts to stab Denji, but Aki ends up taking the blow instead. Seeing yet another one of her partners getting stabbed leaves Himeno devastated, and after seeing Aki go this far to save him, Denji decides to endure the pain of transformation and pull those chainsaws out, as supposedly the devil should be scared of them according to Denji. With his life on the line, after telling Himeno to keep her promise, Denji pulls that string and jumps in to confront the devil. And that's where our recap for the first half of Chainsaw Man comes to an end. Thanks for sticking till the end, and let us know in the comments if you want a second part of the series. Don't forget to leave us a like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. And as always, we'll see you in the next one. Peace.